Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. We were trying to understand for comparative politics. We have started with understanding comparative politics. We have seen two approaches approaches to comparative politics, whereby we saw limitations of traditional approach, and we saw the American school and uh, third world developmental school as well, dependency school as well, whereby when American school talks about things like American hegemony and understanding developing societies, and says about economic modernization and democratic imposition in that sense. The dependency school talks about Eurocentrism in comparative politics. Dependency school talks about other things in comparative politics, uh, of Darwinism, of otherness, and all those things. We also understood what was comparative method as well. So, what is the agenda of this lecture? It is systems approach, right? It is systems. To understand systems approach, you must understand what is systems approach, what is system, not systems approach, but what is system, and who gave this approach to comparative politics. Who gave this approach? Again, David Easton gave this approach, and and why did he give this approach? Because of behavioralism. Oh, sorry, because of because of behavioralism. What is behavioralism? It is methodological revolution in political science. Behavioralism is methodological revolution in political science. It wants to make political science a natural science, a pure science. And what are what are some elements of pure science? You see things like universalism, that one theory is applicable across time and space. Then what is one element of pure science, or one feature of pure science, one characteristics of pure science? It is foundationalism. And the third feature of pure science is value free analysis. We also have seen eight intellectual foundations of behavioralism, right? Eight intellectual foundation of behavioralism, whereby Easton gives Easton gives lecture to APSA and says that elements like regularities, right? Elements like regularities, value free analysis, elements like techniques, methods, uh, quantification, verification, and making political science pure science is the way ahead, right? Taking that idea ahead, Easton himself developed systems approach to comparative politics. What is systems approach, right? As I was talking about behavioralism, as I was talking about behavioralism, there I spoke two words: techniques and methods. Right? Techniques and methods. These techniques and methods were used by Easton in his systems approach. What is system? I will explain what is system in pure sciences. Pure sciences. Let's say engineering. If you are a computer science graduate, if you are a mechanical graduate, if you are a graduate from engineering course, you must know, you must know that a preliminary a preliminary way to draw a project, or preliminary way to uh, draw a flowchart of the project is something like this, that there is an input that we give to a particular machine. Let's say this is a machine. That machine gives some output, and based on this output we will change our original parameters, right? This is how usually a project is built across the engineering, across the, let's say, STEM courses, right? There is one input that we give to a particular function, to a particular machine, to a particular program, and we expect a particular output. And that output is given back to input again, so that output can be refined again and again. That is the idea, right? Even in the simplest of codes, you realize this is the this is going to be the this is going to be the approach, right? Even in economy, even in human sciences, you will see that one research is going on. That one research is going on. It is presented to a peer group or peer review system. This peer review system gives one output, and based on this output, research is changed again. Right? Let's say we are studying. We are all UPSC aspirants, so we of course study the RBI's monetary policy. So when you are going to study RBI's monetary policy, you know there are three stance which are given by RBI. One is accommodative stance, one is one is neutral stance, and one is contractionary stance. Right? One is contractionary stance. Now this stance is is given by RBI that we are either going to reduce the reduce the interest rate, increase the interest rate, or be very neutral about it. Right? So people will change their trading strategies according to them. People will change their import export strategies according to that, and market will try to adapt to the particular stance. Then that market, when adapted to a particular stance, RBI will again take that adoption and use that adoption to frame the the stance for next incoming cycle that happens every 2 months, every 3 months, right? This is how in general things work. That there is one output, there is a one input, there is one output. There is a particular set of let's say machine, a group of people which will give output, and then output is again taken into account for for the input reasons, and that is how the system works. That there is input, there is output, and there is a feedback system, right? This is in general, this is in general. And this system or this input output processing and feedback, this kind of technique easton was used by easton in framing his systems approach, right? So he is very big on technique, he's very big on method of system approach, method of input output and feedback. That is the basic idea behind David Easton's systems approach, right? In particular, we are going to see other influences on Eastern as well. Source of influences on Eastern, right? There is one sociologist. There is one sociologist, a very famous sociologist, Talcott Parsons. So, if you are a sociologist, if you are a BA student and you have done your BA and you have understood some of the sociology, you must have come across this name, Talcott Parson, and his idea of social system, right? Again, very similar idea to what we are going to study, right? Talcott Parsons social systems. He analyzes a system through unit analysis, right? This social system is based on general system theory general systems theory of Ludwig van Bertalanffy. What this general system theory essentially talks about? This general system theory essentially talks about integration of different knowledge systems. Integration of different knowledge systems. This idea, as given by Talcott Parsons in his social system theory and Ludwig von Bertalanffy in his general system theory, sorry, Parson in his social system and Bertalanffy in his general system theory, that is integration of different knowledge systems. This idea influenced David Easton a lot, right? This idea influenced David Easton a lot. Why? Again, we are going to understand why. Why systems approach? We have understood what is system approach. We have understood influences on systems approach. Now we have to understand why there is need of systems approach. Why there is need of systems approach? Why there is need of systems approach? It is basically right. It is basically in criticism of traditional approaches. Criticism of traditional approaches. In behavioralism, in post behavioralism, in behavioralism, essentially we have studied that behavioralists do not like or did not like traditional approaches to political science. Systems approach goes in hand to that. Systems approach is a critique of institutional, it is a critique of traditional approach, right? It is a critique of traditional and institutional approach. You can link this to again decline and death of political science. Decline and death of political science started. Behavioralism came, then comparative politics came, right? Comparative politics came. When why there is need of systems approach? First, number one, as criticism of traditional approaches, right? Why? What is issue with traditional approaches? What is traditional approach to what is limitations of traditional approach to comparative politics? As we have seen in last lecture, whereby they are static, they are they are static, they are full of biases, and they are parochial, right? So three limitation we have seen, whereby we see that traditional approaches are static, they are full of biases, and it is parochial, that is limited to Europe or developed world. These are the limitation of traditional comparative politics. So what systems approaches tries to do, it is basically it wants to attack the static part, it wants to get out of biases which comes due to values, and it wants to present itself as not parochial. What do what do you mean by not parochial? By not parochial, you basically want to say that I am not going to limit myself to developed societies. I will, and I need to study states of developing societies. I need to study states of developing societies. So, what is the need of systems approach? First, as criticism and to solve limitations of traditional approaches, which is that it is static, that it is full of biases, and it is parochial. And as it is parochial, what system approach is basically trying to do is trying to trying to develop a method to study developing societies, developing states. That is the idea, right? That is the idea. So uh, we have to understand, and we have to understand what is systems approach. What is system approach? What system approach is basically trying to do, right? So we'll start with basic concepts of systems approach. Basic concepts of system approach. First concept is system. System. What is system? What is system? What is system? Let's say I will just give you an example. Let's say air condition system, AC system. So what is a system? What is a AC? Right? What is a AC? Air condition system. So what is it? It has multiple elements. It has a coolant. It has a fan. Air has to get in it. There has to be mm, there has to be sensor to sense ambient temperature. There should be a humidifier, humidity, what you say, humidity gauge as well. So all elements should be there, and they should work in a such a way that room should be air conditioned with respect to whatever temperature we want, you want, right? So what is system? Right? Like AC, which has multiple elements in a synchronized working and in a state of interaction, it is a system, right? Again, the state of interaction, it is not very haphazard. If a system is there, the interaction is not very haphazard. In a AC, you see what happens in a AC, right? It will gauge the room temperature first. You start an AC, you set the AC to 24 degrees Celsius. So it will gauge what is the room temperature right now. Let's say room temperature is 30. It has to have a thermometer in it. Then it will also gauge what is the humidity of this room, and it will want that humidity should be in a pleasant way, right? It should be such that we should feel pleasant in that environment, right? It will gauge both the things. It will gauge temperature and it will gauge humidity. Then coolant will start working, or dehumidifier will start working, and when both of these start working, then it will continuously start pumping air, retracting air, and try to keep room temperature to 24 degrees Celsius. That is the idea. So within AC, you see the elements of an AC are working in an interaction, but it is not very haphazard. It is it is structured. It is patterned. It is continuously working. It is what you say. It is uh, it is not very haphazard, right? So what is system? A system, it is a set of element in a pattern or structured interaction. This is the system. It is a set of elements in a pattern or structured interaction. Then we have to understand. Then we have to understand elemental features of the system. What are elemental features of the system? Right? First elemental feature is subsystem. What is subsystem? Now we'll go back to very particular to political science, and I will try to give example outside of political science as well. But we have to be limited to political science because it is again very much political science. So subsystem. Subsystem basically is preliminary conceptual framework. Or with respect to political science, it is hypothesis. It is preliminary conceptual framework or hypothesis. Or I can say, or I can say, or I can say, it is one of the element of bigger system. Right? All these things are true. Preliminary conceptual framework, hypothesis, or one of the element of bigger system. All this is true. I will again will go back to the AC example. Again, we'll go back to AC example. So, what is an AC? AC is a system which has multiple elements working together in a set of interaction, and and it has multiple subsystems. Let's say it has a gauging system, it has a cooling system, and it has a air pumping system. So these three systems more or less make the system, right? So in political science, you will see this as preliminary conceptual framework or hypothesis, right? I will give you example to make you understand this in a more detail. What I mean by hypothesis or preliminary conceptual example. For now, let's just jump to the next element of a system, which is environment. What is an environment? Environments are basically factors which affect or influence the functioning of the system, right? The functioning of the system. It is factors which affect or influence functioning of the system. It is very similar to subsystem. It is very similar to subsystem. And the third element is boundary. Factors outside boundary, outside environment. Boundary are factors outside environment which have no impact on research. Right? This is boundary. So, what are the elements of what are the elements of what are the elements of a system then? Then there is subsystem, there is environment, and there is a boundary. Right? I will give you example of a subsystem to make you understand what the features effectively represent. So examples of a system. I can give you example across subjects, but we will limit our understanding to political science. So let's assume this is I am making a system with respect to let's say Indian political system, right? We are trying to understand elemental features of a system, and I will start with Indian political system. This is a system, right? This is a subsystem. This is a system, right? This is the system. What are the subsystems with respect to which? Economics. Indian economy is a subsystem to Indian political system, right? Indian culture is a subsystem to Indian political system. Then Indian society is also a subsystem to Indian political system. Right? All these three, four things will affect each other. Right? So So what is the system we are trying to understand here? Indian political system. It is the system. It is the system. What are the subsystem? What are the subsystem? Culture, society, and economic subsystems. There can be different subsystems as well, but for now, for understanding purposes, I am giving you this system. So Indian political system is a system which is an environment, which is in a particular environment, and which has particular subsystems like economy, like culture, like society, right? And the red line which I have made, let's say it is a boundary. Outside this boundary, the factors will not affect Indian political system. Let's say I will let's say Lithuania's Lithuania's uh, what you call farmer, small farmer, a small potato farmer in Lithuania. What what impact does this farmer have impact on Indian political system? Close to none, right? Such factors which do not impact on a particular system belongs to boundary, right? These are the elements of his political system. These are the elements of his approach, not political system, but of his approach, whereby there is he gave a definition of system which is elements in a state of pattern structured interaction. There is uh, there is subsystem, there is environment, and there is boundary as well. Now we have to understand the actual political system of David Easton. So I hope till now you have understood everything. Now we'll try to understand political system of David Easton. Political system, right? Political system. Political system. So what is political system? Political system are set of political elements in state of interaction. Again, what I am saying, listen it to it very closely. Set of political elements in a state of interaction, right? State of political elements in state of interaction. What these system is trying to do, right? What this set of elements, what this set of political elements in a state of interaction is trying to do? What is the function of political system? The function of political system is allow authoritative allocation of values. Authoritative allocation of values. What does this mean? Right? What does this mean? Do not try to overcomplicate it. Right? It is a very complicated thing that is he has written. He has only written 4 words, but the meaning is there. The meaning is not very easy to understand. Authoritative allocation of values. So there is 4 words: authoritative, authoritative. There is allocation, and there is value. Matter of fact, there are only 3 words. So authoritative, allocation, and value. What is authority? Right? We have seen all this. We have seen all this. Right? Till now we have seen all this. What is authority? What is authoritative? Authority is basically power plus legitimacy. Who has power plus legitimacy? State. What is allocation? Right? Again, keep your mind very calm while I am saying this. What is authority? It is power plus legitimacy. What is allocation? Allocation is nothing but distributive justice. Allocation is what? It is distributive justice. Distributive justice. Remember roles, right? Then value. What are values? Values are things like justice, equality, rights, right? All those things are values. Duties. right? All these things are values. For values, there is very famous word of values as given by Rawls, which is primary goods. Primary goods. So authoritative allocation of values, right? State mandated distributive justice with respect to primary goods. Again, in very simple words, state mandated distributive distributive justice of primary goods. This is authoritative allocation of values. This is the primary function of political system of Eastern. Authoritative allocation of values, state mandated distributive justice of primary goods. All this we have seen before. So what if the state is trying to do? Is trying to do distributive justice with respect to primary goods. What are primary goods? Primary goods are means to achieve life goals. I need liberty to become IAS. Liberty is a primary good. IAS is a life goal. State mandated distributive justice of primary goods. Primary goods. This is what function of political system according to Easton is, right? Now we have to understand the actual political system. We have understood function of political system, which is authoritative allocation of values. When writing answers, do not forget to mention this. You can start with this. David Easton, David Easton, in his political system mentions that political system performs unique function of authoritative allocation of values. So political system according to Easton, right? Political system according to Easton. In the next page, I will make this. It is going to take a lot of space. So there is there is input, there is input, there is a processor, and there is output. There is input, there is processor, there is output, and there is a feedback as well. Feedback. What is input? What is input? Input is of two types. First input is demands, and second input is support. First input is demand, second input is support. What are outputs? First, first output is policies, and second output is decisions. There is feedback as well, right? I will make this a bit smaller so that you are able to see everything. Let's make it smaller as well. So yeah, okay, okay. So this is boundary, right? Whatever this system is working in, it is environment, right? And And for this system, he uses another word which is machine. He says that this is a political machine. That is the idea, right? I will explain all this in quite a detail. Do not worry. Just keep a mental map of this system, and we'll try to understand every element one by one. This model is also known as input output model. So what is this model basically talks about, right? We'll start with we'll start with inputs. There are two inputs. Number one, demand. Number two, support. Right? What is a demand? Demand for social justice, for development, for regulations. Hello. Right? I will make you understand everything with an example as well. For now, let's just stay with a very jargonish and very technical. For now, I will explain you this in very detail. So what are demands? Demands are of social justice, are of development, are of regulation, right? Then there is support. Support is support of popular sovereignty, right? You win election, that is, right, that is an indicator of support. Legitimacy is an indicator of support, right? How do you see popular sovereignty? How do you see legitimacy? You see popular sovereignty or legitimacy by winning elections. People are patriotic. People pay taxes. People pay taxes. People follow rules, right? This is how people show support to a political system, right? So demands are done. Then we also have to see outputs. Inputs are done. We have to see outputs. So outputs. Sorry, spelling mistake. Outputs. So what are outputs? Outputs are through policies and decisions, right? Policies and decisions. A political system will give output with respect to policy as policies and decisions. That we are okay with this, we are not okay with this. We will make a law regarding this. We will do something. We'll make policies. We'll make laws and all those things. Right? That is all output. And then there is feedback. What is feedback? It is for system maintenance. For system maintenance, right? So what is basically is that people will respond to policies and decisions. People respond to policies and decisions. This response fed to is fed to input, and system automatically modifies its policies and decisions, right? It is automatic. It is uh, it is with respect to response of the people, right? People expect particular things out of policy and of system. People expect particular policies or particular decisions by the system, people will respond with respect to that in input, and policies will be modified or new policies will be made. That is the idea, right? Now we'll start with an example. So I can start with an historical example, or I can start with a very recent example. I will start with an Indian example. Let's say of the law of juveniles which are convicted of aggravated rape, right? Juveniles which are convicted of, not accused of, convicted of uh, aggravated rape should be given death penalty. So you, me, everyone has heard about Nirbhaya case, whereby uh, a, a girl from Delhi was raped in a moving bus throughout the night, and then she was dumped on the ground to die. And the main culprit, the main culprit in all this fiasco was a 17-year-old boy, Pawan Singh, right? Pawan Singh. So this is the background. The current policy of government is that we are not going to give death penalty to juveniles. That is the policy. Then people realize that people of the Indian people realize that the the main culprit is being let go of, right? The main culprit is being let go of. People start revolt. Not revolt, protest. Revolt is a big, strong word. It is an extreme word, but protest. 2011 Nirbhaya protest happened. Then, when people realized that Pawan Singh was not being convicted, again protest started. Then, when protest happened, what government had to do, had to change the law with respect to that feedback. And now juveniles can be convicted for death penalty if they do rape and murder, right? This is how system works. Input was the law which was given to the political system, political machine, which spewed out outcome of the spewed out judgment which let go Pawan Singh of his conviction. People realized that, people started giving feedback to the system. Law changed. So what are inputs, demands, and support to the continuing government? Government processes that, gives policies and decisions. People will react to such policies and decisions, will again give feedback to input, and system will again process it again and again, right? That is the idea. That is the idea. Again, support or legitimacy is also one of the input, so that the present government can actually work. So that is the idea behind political system of David Easton. Such political system of David Easton, which has input, output, and feedback, was criticized by a lot of people, right? Was criticized by a lot of people. Criticism of systems approach. Criticism of systems approach. The first criticism was given by traditionalists. Who were traditionalists? Traditionalists were philosophical. Traditionalists were empirical, were historical, right? So traditionalists will say that systems approach is just a cosmetic exercise. In Hindi, there is this word lipapoti. Lipapoti. So, what traditionalist will say, that systems approach is just a cosmetic exercise, right? It is just a cosmetic exercise. It is just a lipapoti. It does not have any analytical value. It is descriptive, right? It is descriptive. It is not it is not useful except in start of research. This is the traditionalist criticism of systems approach, right? Then Marxists criticize it, systems approach. For Marxist, theory should be emancipatory. Only emancipatory theory is theory for them. Only praxis is theory for them. And Marxists say that system approach, who which David Easton written for developing world. It is not useful in analysis of developing world at all. Developing world needs emancipatory theory. Developing world needs praxis, right? Developing world needs praxis. So so systems approach is status quoist. It only describes this situation, does not uh, give give change, does not give ability to change, ability of a system to change, uh, ability of people to make actual change. So, that is why Marxists say that systems approach is not relevant for developing world. As we can see, there is this feedback system. So what David Easton is trying to say that the system will perpetuate as system is taking account of feedback of the people. So system will persist. System will not get destroyed, right? Which uh, Marxists are trying to do. Then the next criticism came from Miliband and Pulunza. We have studied them in relative autonomy theory of state, instrumentalist theory of state. That was that debate between both of them, right? So one is instrumentalist, another one is relatively autonomous. So what Miliband and Pulunza together say that systems approach do not incorporate crisis. It is again status quoist. This model is status quoist, and this is not universal, but only useful and based on in Western societies. Then next criticism was given by behavioralist. They observed that model is too generalistic, right? There is no detailing about components, and it is again status quoist, not developmental, right? So this was systems approach as explained by David Easton in his book Political System: An Inquiry into State of Political Science. This was systems approach. I hope this you understood systems approach in quite a detail. Um, and then in the next lecture, we'll start with structural functional approach of Gabriel Ehrman and Powell. Thank you so much. I hope this helped. Start with structural functional approach in the next lecture. Bye.